Oh, it's had its day, I'm afraid.
But it's never let me down.
M's orders, 007. You'll be using this Aston Martin DB5 modifications.
Hello, I'm Mike Ashley, former European sales manager for Aston Martin Lagonda. In 1964, this car, 007's hand-built Aston Martin DB5, became quite simply the most famous car in the world. In fact, just as stars today now tour to promote films, the James Bond filmmakers sent the Aston Martin out to promote Goldfinger, and I was the lucky guy who got to take the car out and show it to the world. We've managed to uncover some footage of the DB5 from that era, and we wanted to share some of these rare images with you. The world first became familiar with 007's gadget-laden car during the week of the world premiere of Goldfinger in London. This footage was shot on a day when we invited all the press out to get familiar with the car. As sharp-eyed viewers should be able to tell from the differences in the interior switches, our mechanics had re-engineered the gadgets on the vehicle, turning it into a promotional car outfitted especially to show at public events. The press also got to see some of Q's devices that are not featured in the film, like the radar scanner hidden in the wing mirror, the telephone in the driver's side door, and the tray under the driver's seat for holding a hidden gun. On the day of the film's premiere at the Odeon, Leicester Square on September 17, 1964, the BBC ran this report with Kenneth Alsop showing the features of the DB5.
Wimbledon Common doesn't seem the likeliest place for car deals, but he was where he said he'd be, and with that sleek grey rocket ship. It began to seem like a very reasonable, straightforward deal. No questions asked, of course. All he'd said on the telephone was that he was going to make me an outstanding, not-to-be-repeated offer. A straight swap of my E-Type for an Aston Martin DB5. Also, he said, the DB5 had some accessories and special gear he thought would appeal to me. He gave me a demonstration of some of these extras, little embellishments that showed that the owner was a real car enthusiast with a taste for individual luxury. For example, that push-button rotating number plate, to make the driver feel completely at home, whether in Britain, Switzerland, or France. Then the extending overriders, back and front. Not exactly for ramming other cars, but for nudging them over a bit when you're short of parking space. Just for a second, I was a bit less sure about those twin Browning machine guns that slid out of the blinker apertures. I didn't see an immediate, everyday use for them, except perhaps for giving the odd traffic warden a quick burst. But I must admit that I was straight away sold on those two very handy gadgets hidden in the rear fins. That funnel for pumping oil under the wheels of those rotten drivers who always stay right on your tail, and the shower of tin tacks on the other side for the really stubborn road hogs. There was another notion I took to, that tire slasher on the near side rear hub to discipline drivers who sneak into a parking space just ahead of you. And there was that steel screen that rose out of the boot to protect the rear window. Bulletproof, the dealer said amusingly. I thought the radar screen disguised as a radio was rather natty, and its scanner hidden in the wing mirror. In fact, altogether I was really taken with the car. There didn't seem any need to hum and haw, so we clinched the deal on the spot, and off he drove in my old E-Type, which now frankly seemed pretty bare and unimaginative. One thing he'd forgotten to tell me about, though, the telephone. It quite made me jump when I heard it ring. I didn't suppose for a moment the call could be for me, but whoever it was on the other end seemed to have a message intended just for me. The message was about yet another bit of equipment I'd not yet seen. That hidden drawer under the driver's seat and its contents. Something, the caller said, I'd better take care of, or they be taking care of me. I wonder what they could be talking about. I wonder if I could get my E-Type back.
Mr. Alsop is holding a custom-made Goldfinger piece of jewelry. It was also getting quite a bit of press during the release of the film. The Aston Martin traveled all over the world with me. It appeared at the Paris Motor Show in October 1964, returned to London in November for the Lord Mayor's Show. In December, the Aston Martin and I arrived in the United States aboard the SS France, making quite an entrance. I had a great time in New York, enjoying the North American premiere of Goldfinger, even though the car did get a ticket on Christmas Eve. By January, the car was back in France, touring Europe. I brought the DB5 to Château Danier, where they were filming Thunderball. It appeared at the Paris Goldfinger premiere and went on to tour all around Europe, including traveling through Germany and Switzerland with Mr. Goldfinger himself, Gert Frobe. Showing off the car was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I went to Hollywood, displaying the vehicle at Grauman's Chinese Theatre. I flew across the country to the New York Auto Show, where it was featured in this newsreel footage.
James Bond's Aston Martin found itself the top attraction. Everybody wanted to see how the awkward passenger can be shot into space. Also, the other devices by which a bad time is had by all who seek the blood of 007.
The car not only starred in 2 007 films, but also in a number of commercials. This one, for Burton Slacks, offers only a brief glimpse of the car.
The James Bond 007 Slacks, only at Burton.
Simon Eye's Car Wax, on the other hand, was eager to take advantage of the DB5's status.
Simon Eye's wax protection against road chemicals, fumes, rust, corrosion. That can do a car in before it's quite paid for. How do you get this protection? Vista Cleaner Wax. Vista cleans, shines, protects in one step. Protects edges of doors, fenders, chrome, full works. Give your car Simon Eye's wax protection with... Sorry, old girl, wrong button. With Vista One-Step Cleaner Wax from the Simon Eye's chaps.
I went with the DB5 to San Francisco, Portland, Seattle. I took 007's Aston Martin down to the famed Grand Prix race at Laguna Seca, where it appeared as the pace car, driven by Jackie Stewart with my girlfriend as the passenger. The police staged a James Bond contest in Philadelphia, and I later went to Miami, causing problems with the smoke canisters again. Everywhere I went, I was wined and dined and given the royal treatment, all because of Bond. Even a year and a half after its debut, the car was still attracting crowds. On April the 4th, 1966, we were privileged when Queen Elizabeth and the Duke of Edinburgh visited the Aston Martin Lagonda Motorworks.
The Mayor of Buckingham escorted the Queen and Duke on their brief visit to the county. The Aston Martin works were included in the Whirlwind Tour. Here are produced the ton-plus cars dear to the heart of fast motorists throughout the Western world. The only possible objection to these cars is that some of us can't afford one. Exhibit 1 here is the James Bond car, lethal front, back, or inside. Ian Heggie, 6-year-old son of the works manager, demonstrated a model of it. It was presented to the Queen for Prince Andrew. Number plates to fool spies. Smersh will be giving Windsor Castle a wide berth, and will pay everybody there to be on their best behavior. There's a wonderful idea if you're ever chased doing more than 70.
The Mini Aston Martin became a legend in itself and has appeared on a number of British television programmes over the years, including this May 1985 edition of the children's show Blue Peter.
This special version was made in 1966 for Prince Andrew when he was 6 years old, and it was made by Andy Chapman and the same team that developed the full-size car for the James Bond movie. It's all electric and it's full of lots of special features that would help any secret agent get out of a tight squeeze. For instance, there's front and rear overriders that push out from the bumpers, a sheet of armor metal plating that rises up to protect James Bond's back from his enemies, while at the front, twin machine guns emerge, ready for action. Terrific. It's been very well kept by Prince Andrew, and he must have been really sorry to grow too big for it. And I'm very sorry as well that I'm too big for it. But someone who isn't is 4.5-year-old Matthew Turner. What do you think of the car, then, Matthew? It's fabulous, isn't it? Well, let's see if we can give you a ride inside. You're all set to go, and we've even got some special music for you. So have fun.
Of course, millions of children over the years have owned toy versions of the Aston Martin, like this one, shown at the Nuremberg Toy Fair in 1967. Ultimately, there were 4 Aston Martins outfitted with gadgets that toured the world to promote 007 and the car company. All have ended up in private hands. The original Aston Martin, used in Goldfinger, was sold and resold at 2 high-profile auctions in the United States in the 1980s.
Lot number 465, James Bond's Aston Martin from Goldfinger. Add 250,000, fair warning now. It's your call on the right. Add $250,000, fair warning. $250,000.
In 1997, that original car was stolen from its owner in Boca Raton, Florida, and has, as of this recording, never been recovered.